Mrs. Bennet, and this is Mrs. Bennet's Truths, universally acknowledged. This week, I will recount Jane and Charles's love story, and it will be all about matchmaking, because I arranged this marriage completely myself. It all started when my dear friend, Mrs. Long, came in to tell me the news, and I went straight away to tell Mr. Bennet. My dear Mr. Bennet, have you heard? Someone is finally moving into Netherfield Manor. Henry, it's your line.
What? Oh, yes. I had no idea.
Oh, yes. Mrs. Long was just here, and she told me all about it. Don't you want to know who's renting?
You want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it.
Well, apparently, a young, wealthy man has come down from the north. He signed the lease with Mr. Morris, and he'll move in by fall.
Does he have a name?
Bingley. Charles Bingley.
Is he married?
Oh, no. He's quite single. Just think. An eligible bachelor with a large salary. Oh, perfect for our girls.
What's this got to do with them?
My goodness, can't you see? I'm thinking he should marry one of them.
Do you really think that... Oh, enough of this. This is quite ridiculous. I can't believe that you convinced me to reenact this preposterous scene. You were being absolutely nonsensical, prattling about how I must introduce myself to him so I can introduce him to the girls. My God, woman, what time period are you living in? The Regency era? If you wanted to meet him, why didn't you just bring him a basket of cookies or something like a normal neighbour? I'm sick of this silliness. When's Lizzie coming to visit? I miss having someone around here with some sense.
Well, there's no need to be snippy. Lizzie and Darcy should be here any minute. Oh, look, that must be them. Hello, Lizzie. Do come here and sit down. I'm recording a podcast episode and you can help me with it. Henry, would you mind entertaining Fitzwilliam? Mother, I've told you he goes by William. Don't embarrass him, please. Anyway, what kind of podcast are you making? It's an advice podcast to help other mothers arrange successful marriages for their children. I see. Oh, well, I should probably go see if Dad needs any help. No, he's fine. I was just telling the listeners how Jane and Charles met. Oh, yes, at the Meryton Festival. Jane was the prettiest woman there. Of course, Charles fell in love with her instantly. After I pointed him out to her and introduced them, though. Can't forget that. Right. Of course not. Anyway, Bingley was instantly enraptured. He danced with her the whole night. Well, he did dance with Charlotte Lucas first, and then with Jane for 2 dances, and then he asked Mary King to dance, of all people. He then danced with Maria Lucas before dancing 2 more with Jane, and then finally 2 with you, Lizzie. Oh, right, well, they were pretty much in love after that. Not so fast! You can't forget about my ingenious plan to get Jane to spend more time with Charles. You made her bike to his house in the pouring rain. I didn't make her do anything. Yes, you did. She asked to borrow the car and you said it was in the shop, which it wasn't, and you made her bike there. She nearly caught her death of cold. But she didn't. Besides, by the time she was recovered, Bingley was firmly in love with her. Anyway, I think it's about time for a word from our sponsors. Wait, you have sponsors? Hello, listeners! Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace makes it easy to let your business shine with their easy-to-use, professional-looking templates. I made a website using Squarespace, and it's great! Check it out at mrsbennettpodcast.weebly.com. Squarespace. Built it beautiful. Did that say Weebly.com? No, of course not. Don't be silly. Anyway, I think that about wraps up Jane and Bingley, and now it's time for my Hang on. You left out most of it. What about when Bingley moved away to the city, and Jane was heartbroken, and... Oh, tosh. Nobody wants to hear about the boring stuff. Besides, that part didn't have anything to do with me. The main lesson from the story is that when an eligible young man moves into town, be sure to send your prettiest daughter after him. Okay, Mum, whatever you say. I'm going to say hello to Dad. Have fun with your podcast. Thanks, dear! All right, listeners, it's that time again. Keeping up with Kitty! And Mary, I guess. Tinder was a bust, but time for Plan B. This week, I decided that they should walk into town carrying large armfuls of groceries and such, and then they must bump into attractive men to get them to help them pick up their belongings. So far, neither girl is very good at this. Kitty has gotten down the dropping things bit, but she keeps crashing into walls. I swear that girl needs contacts, not glasses, of course, as they would conceal her beauty. Mary, on the other hand, is utterly too careful and doesn't drop a thing. I'll make them continue all this through the week, but so far I have low hopes for this strategy. Now it's time for listener mail! We received a flood of fan mail after the first episode last week, and I'm so glad for all your support. I've decided that at the end of each episode, I will read one email from a listener and give them my very best advice. Our first one is from Miss Bridget Beckinsdale, who says, Hello, Mrs. Bennet! Long-time listener, first-time emailer! I'd first like to tell you just how much I love your podcast. And congratulate you on your successes in marrying your daughters. Thank you. An eligible and only slightly above middle-aged man recently showered my daughter in pretty poetry and attention, and while it seemed certain that there would be an offer, none came. What do you make of that? Was there something I should have done? Please advise. Your avid listener, Mrs. Bridget Beckinsdale. Oh, hello, Bridget, and thank you so much for your email. You know, a very similar thing happened to my Jane when she was younger. I've learned that you cannot always trust poetry, no matter how poetic. Did your daughter write poetry back? I would not recommend that she do so. This can be off-putting to the man. Also, did you have her follow him everywhere? Would highly recommend a mid-rainstorm bike ride to his place of residence. Seems to do the trick. I hope this advice will be helpful to many. If you would like to write to the show, please email mrsbennetpodcast@gmail.com with your questions. Toodles for now!